Hello and welcome to Kotlin Thursdays. This week we'll be talking about the methods any, all, and none on the list class. Going to be a pretty short one this week, so let's jump right into it. Okay, as with last week, we're going to do a couple of data class lists. Here's a list of people. And this week we're also going to do an empty list. We're going to use those to show off the methods that we're looking at this week. Starting things off, we have a method called any, which is basically just telling us whether or not there's anything in the list at all. In other words, is it not empty? You can see the output here. With the people one, there is things in it, so it's empty. And with the one that doesn't have anybody in it, there is not any, so it is not empty. So the next one we're going to look at is none, which is pretty much just the opposite of any, which is saying that is the list empty? So are there no items in the list? Is it none? If we look at this here, so none and is empty are just equivalents of one another. It's just a matter of whether you want to use the shorter version or the longer version in terms of typing. Here you can see the people list, because it's not empty, returns false, and the no people list, because it is empty, returns true. Pretty straightforward on that one. Okay, we're going to move on to the next one. And on this one, we're actually going to pass in a lambda. So the lambda will provide a condition that we'll evaluate against. And in this case, we're going to do any, people.any, and we're going to pass it an age, or a lambda that compares the age. And this one also has a lambda. And let's run it and take a look at what the output looks like in this case. So basically what this is doing, it says, are there any people over the age of 35? In the one that I've highlighted here, or in this case, are there anyone over the age of 12? Is there anyone over the age of 12? Sure. Fred isn't, but Xander is, and Allie is over 12, so that returns true. Anybody 35? Exactly 35? Sure, Allie's 35. So that's going to return true. And the last case down at the bottom, IT is George. IT.name is George, and that's going to be false because there's no one in the list named George. Let's also take a look at one of the odd special cases with any, and you'll find this is true of all three of the methods, any, all, and none. And we're just going to use it as an example. We're going to call this method any on the empty list. You'll notice here that regardless of what I put in the lambda, age greater than 0, age less than 0, true, false, it doesn't really matter. If you call any and you pass in the lambda with any of these things in it, it's just always going to result in false. There's a little special case to be aware of there. So let's move along and take a look at, I believe we're on all, yes. So on all, just going to make sure here that every single one of the items meets the condition that's in the lambda. So first thing we're going to take a look at is over 12. We've got Xander who's over 12, and we've got Allie who's over 12, but Fred is not over 12, and we need to have all of them, so that's false. As far as over 35, again, the lambda here says age is over 35. We have a couple people in the list, but not all of them are over 35. So over the age of 2, we've got all of the people are over the age of 2, so that one is true. Once again, we're going to, as we did in the previous one, we're going to take a look at this kind of special case of the empty list. And we're going to paste in some code here. Let's see what happens when we call all on an empty list. Once again, we'll find that it doesn't really matter what is in the lambda here. It's just always going to return true. The last one we have, we're going to look at none. So none just checks that there are not any items in the list that match the criteria. Paste some code in here to try out a variety of scenarios. Let's run this. So the first scenario I have is it true that none of the people are over the age of 12? Well, that's clearly not true. We've got a bunch of people over the age of 12, so that's false. Is it true that none of the people are over the age of 0? Again, we have pretty much everyone on the list is over the age of 0, so that's also false. And is it true that none of the people are under the age of 6? Xander is not under the age of 6, neither is Fred, nor is Allie, so that one is true. Um, Once again, for the last time, I'm going to show you the special case because I think the special cases are weird. Special case here is call none on an empty list, and in this case, it always returns true, doesn't matter what the lambda is. So we can prove that by just doing another case. Let's say I do age is greater than 1, and then I also do age is less than or equal to 1. It doesn't matter. It always returns true. Okay, so this week on Kotlin Thursdays, we talked about any, all, and none that check for whether or not a list has any elements that match a certain condition, all elements that match a certain condition, or no elements, aka none, that match a certain condition. So that's it for this week. Thanks for dropping by and hope to see you next week.